The sky over Andaris Prime was always dark. Thick clouds of dust from the mining fields never cleared. The air smelled of metal and oil. Giant towers reached into the sky, their lights blinking like slow heartbeats. This was life on Andaris, a cold, hard place where people worked to keep the Empire running. Captain Rhea Vance stood on the bridge of her patrol ship, the Sentinel. The ship floated high above the planet. From here, she could see the metal cities and the bright lines of cargo ships moving in and out of the mines. Rhea crossed her arms. Her eyes stayed on the screen in front of her. It showed green dots, friendly ships. Nothing strange, nothing new. Same as every day. Clear skies again, Captain, said Jaren. Her first officer. He stood beside her, checking the radar. Rhea didn't smile. Looks that way, she said. But keep watching. This far out, anything can happen. Jaren nodded but didn't seem worried. Nobody was. The Empire said Andaris was safe. No enemy had come near this system in over 50 years. Most officers believed nothing ever would. Rhea wasn't so sure. She leaned closer to the radar screen. A small flicker appeared on the edge, just for a second. Then it was gone. Did you see that? She asked. Jaren looked. See what? Rhea tapped the screen. Something was there. Briefly. Jaren checked the system again. Nothing now could be sensor drift. This old tech glitches all the time. Rhea didn't answer right away. She stared at the spot. Her gut told her it wasn't a glitch. Run a deep scan, she ordered. Jaren hesitated, but followed the command. The ship's scanners buzzed quietly. A few minutes passed. The screen stayed clear. No sign of anything, Captain, Jaren reported. Rhea narrowed her eyes. Contact Central Command. Report a possible unknown signal. Jaren sighed. They'll laugh at us again. You know that. Do it anyway, Rhea said firmly. Jaren sent the message. A reply came back quickly. No threat detected. Return to patrol. Stand down. Rhea felt the familiar sting of frustration. This wasn't the first time Command had brushed her off. They called her too cautious. Some even said she was paranoid. But she knew better. Overconfidence was dangerous. She stood straight. Set course to check the signal area. Jaren raised an eyebrow. Even after Command said no. Rhea nodded. Yes, we check it ourselves. The Sentinel turned slowly, moving toward the edge of the system. Outside the ship, space looked empty. But Rhea knew space could lie. She looked again at the dark screen. Her heart beating a little faster. Something was out there. The Sentinel moved through the cold black of space. Its engines hummed softly. The crew stayed silent, watching their screens. Captain Rhea Vance stood in the center of the bridge. Her face was calm, but her mind was racing. She kept her eyes on the radar. There was nothing. Only empty space. She started to wonder if she was wrong. Maybe it had been a glitch after all. But her instincts told her to wait. Then the radar beeped. Jaren turned toward her, eyes wide. Captain, we have something. Rhea walked to his station. A small dot blinked on the edge of the screen. It was faint but moving fast. Identify it, Rhea ordered. Jaren ran the scan. His face turned pale. It's not one of ours. No ID code. No response to hails. Rhea felt her heart tighten. Weapons ready. Bring us closer but keep shields up. The crew followed her orders. The Sentinel moved toward the strange ship. On the screen they saw it. Black, sharp and quiet. It looked like no ship Rhea had ever seen. It had no lights, no markings. It was watching them. Still no response. Rhea asked. Jaren shook his head. Nothing. It's just sitting there. Rhea knew waiting was a trap. She couldn't risk it. Target the engines, she ordered. Fire on my mark. The crew locked weapons. Rhea took a deep breath. Fire. The Sentinel's lasers shot forward, hitting the strange ship. For a moment it stayed still. Then it moved fast. Faster than they expected. Incoming fire. Jaren shouted. The enemy ship fired back. bright red blast shook the Sentinel. The crew grabbed onto their stations, shields holding but barely. Jaren reported. Rhea gritted her teeth. Return fire. Aim for the bridge. The Sentinel fired again, this time hitting the enemy ship harder. Sparks flew from its dark surface. The enemy ship spun, trying to escape. Stay on it, Rhea said. The crew kept firing. The strange ship tried to run, but Rhea didn't let up. One final blast hit its engines. The ship exploded, breaking into burning pieces. The crew cheered, but Rhea held up her hand. Wait, she said. She watched the wreckage. Among the floating pieces, she noticed something strange. A small data pod drifted toward them. Bring it in, Rhea ordered. Jaren nodded and sent a drone to collect it. The pod was old but still working. Rhea opened it carefully. Inside was encrypted data, navigation charts, fleet movements, and strange symbols. What is it? Jaren asked. Rhea's face turned pale. It's not just a scout. It's a map. A map showing a whole fleet hiding outside our sensor range. Jaren's mouth fell open. That was only the first one. Rhea nodded slowly. Her heart sank. The real enemy hadn't even arrived yet. Captain Rhea Vance stood in the middle of Central Command on Andaris Prime. The large control room was full of officers, soldiers, and glowing screens. High above them, the Empire's flag hung on the wall, tall and proud. Rhea held the datapod tightly in her hands. Her ship, the Sentinel, had returned quickly after the battle. She knew this information couldn't wait. She had to speak to the commanders herself. Commander Tolan, an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes, stood at the front. He waved Rhea forward. You said you had something urgent, Tolan said. His voice sounded annoyed, like he had better things to do. Rhea stepped closer. She placed the datapod on the table. Sir, we destroyed an unknown ship at the edge of the system, she said. We recovered this from the wreckage. The data shows a larger enemy fleet hiding nearby. Tolan crossed his arms. A larger fleet, you're sure? Yes, sir, Rhea answered. I've seen the maps. They're just beyond our sensors. That ship was only a scout. The other commanders in the room started whispering. Some looked concerned. Others looked bored. Commander Tolan glanced at his officers, then sighed. We have seen no signs of other ships, Tolan said. No alarms, no reports. You're chasing shadows, Captain. Rhea shook her head. The enemy used stealth tech. That's why we didn't see them before. We can't wait until they move in. We need to act now. Tolan raised his voice. Enough. You brought this same fear last year when you claimed to see enemy scouts. Nothing happened then. Why should we believe you now? Rhea felt heat rise in her face. Because this time I have proof. Tolan leaned forward. Proof from a wrecked ship you destroyed on your own. A ship no one else saw. You think that makes you right? Rhea's hands tightened into fists. She knew what this was. Pride. The Empire's leaders didn't want to look weak. They didn't want to believe the Empire could be in danger. Tolan waved his hand. You will return to your patrol. No more fear games. That is final. Rhea stood frozen for a moment. She knew if she pushed more they might take her command away. But if she did nothing, Andaris would be lost. She turned without another word, and walked out of the room. Back on the Sentinel, Rhea sat in her private quarters. The datapod lay on the table. She stared at the maps again. The enemy fleet was massive. She saw symbols showing 30 or more ships, some even larger than Andaris's defense fleet. Jaren entered the room quietly. They didn't listen, did they? Rhea shook her head. No, they refused. Jaren sat down across from her. So, what do we do now? Rhea looked up at him. Her voice was steady and low. We prepare anyway. Jaren leaned in, eyes wide. Prepare? You mean, against orders? Rhea nodded. We don't have a choice. We either stand now, or we fall later. Jaren swallowed hard, then nodded back. Rhea leaned over the table and started planning. She knew this wasn't just her fight anymore. Captain Rhea Vance stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, staring at the stars outside. The enemy fleet was still out there. She could feel it. Time was running out. She knew she couldn't trust the commanders. They had made their choice. Now, she had to make hers. Later that night, she called a private meeting with her crew. Only her most trusted people were there. Jaren, Lena the engineer, and Dax the weapons chief. Jaren looked around nervously. "Captain, if they find out what we're doing, we'll lose everything." Rhea nodded. "I know, but if we don't act, Andaris will lose more than ships or ranks. We'll lose lives. Millions of them." Lena leaned forward. "What's the plan?" Rhea stood. "We prepare the Sentinel for battle, quietly. No one outside this room can know." Dax rubbed his chin. "And what about the civilians? What if they get caught in the middle?" Rhea's voice was firm. "We warn who we can, but carefully. If command finds out, they'll stop us before we even start." The team nodded. They all knew the risk, but they trusted Rhea. They trusted her more than they trusted the Empire's proud leaders. The next few days were tense. The crew worked in secret. Lena boosted the shields, using extra power cells taken from storage. Dax rechecked the weapons, loading extra rounds and locking them down tight. Jaren used the ship's old communication systems to send private warnings to a few other officers who might listen. At night, Rhea stood by the window of her quarters. She watched the lights of Andaris Prime below. Families lived down there. Workers, children. They had no idea how close danger was. One night, Jaren came in with bad news. "None of the other officers are answering anymore," he said. "Command must have shut them down. We're on our own." Rhea nodded slowly. "I expected that." Jaren sighed. "You really think they'll come soon?" Rhea turned back to the window. "They're already on their way." The next morning, Lena came to the bridge, looking worried. "Captain, we have another problem," she said. Rhea frowned. "What is it?" Lena lowered her voice. "Command is watching us. I heard them talking. They know we've been taking extra supplies. They're starting to ask questions." Rhea's heart pounded. They couldn't stop now. "Get the ship ready to move," Rhea ordered. "If they try to stop us, we'll leave the station. We'll face the enemy alone if we have to." The crew nodded. None of them wanted to run, but they knew the risk. That night, Rhea stood in front of her crew. She looked into their tired, worried faces. "We may be alone," she said, "but we know the truth. And we will stand. No matter what happens next, we fight to protect the people below us. We fight for what's right, not for pride or power." The crew saluted her. The Sentinel was ready. All they could do now was wait. It began without warning. An alarm sounded through the Sentinel speakers, early in the morning. Rhea jumped from her seat on the bridge. Jaren's face was pale as he pointed to the radar screen. "They're here." Rhea looked at the screen. It was full of red dots. Not one, not two. Dozens. Enemy ships were pouring into the Andaris system. How did they get so close without being seen? Lena asked, her voice shaking. Rhea already knew the answer. The same way the scout did. Stealth technology. The enemy fleet moved in fast. Big ships, small ships. Warships twice the size of the Sentinel. They spread out, blocking every escape path. The planet Andaris was trapped. Jaren turned to her. "What do we do?" Rhea stood tall. "We fight." She sent an urgent message to Central Command. "This is Captain Rhea Vance. The enemy fleet has arrived. We are moving to engage." She didn't wait for their reply. The Sentinel turned toward the largest enemy ship. It looked like a giant black spear floating through space. Rhea knew who was on that ship. Commander Zorik. The enemy leader had finally shown himself. "Bring up his signal," Rhea ordered. Jaren worked the controls. A moment later, Zorik's face appeared on the screen. His skin was gray, his eyes cold and sharp. He didn't look angry. He looked calm, like he had already won. "So," Zorik said in a low voice, "you're the one who found my scout." Rhea didn't blink. "And I'll be the one who stops your fleet." Zorik laughed quietly. "You still think you can stop us? This system belongs to us now. You should have stayed silent." Rhea leaned forward. The Empire may be blind, but I am not. Zorak smiled. Let's see how long you last, Captain. The signal cut off. All weapons fire. Rhea shouted. The Sentinel opened fire. Bright lasers lit up the dark space. Enemy ships fired back, their blasts shaking the ship. The crew worked fast, dodging attacks and hitting back. The battle had begun. Rhea's team fought ship after ship. The enemy had the numbers, but Rhea had speed and heart. The Sentinel weaved between larger ships, firing on weak points. They took down 2 enemy fighters. Then 3, but more kept coming. We can't hold this alone, Dax shouted. Rhea knew he was right. She hit the emergency broadcast button. To all Empire ships, this is Captain Rhea Vance. The enemy fleet is real. We are under attack. If you hear this message, come to Andaris. We need help. We can still fight back if we stand together. The message echoed through space. Rhea could only hope someone was listening. But there was no time to wait. The Sentinel turned again, heading straight for Zorak's ship. We end this now, Rhea whispered. The Sentinel raced toward Zorak's flagship. It was the largest ship in the fleet. Black and sharp, it floated like a dark blade above Andaris Prime. The enemy ships saw the Sentinel coming. They tried to block Rhea's path, but she didn't slow down. Full power to shields, Rhea shouted. The ship shook as enemy blasts hit them again and again. Sparks flew across the bridge. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. But the Sentinel kept moving forward. Jaren grabbed the control panel. Shields are dropping fast. Hold together just a little longer, Rhea said, her voice tight. The Sentinel's cannons fired again and again. 2 enemy ships exploded in flames. Still, Zorak's ship waited, untouched. On the screen, Rhea could see it up close now. Strange symbols covered its surface. Its weapons were massive. Rhea stood tall. Aim at their main cannon. Dax nodded. Locked on. Fire, Rhea ordered. The Sentinel's cannons fired at the enemy's main weapon. The blast hit hard. Part of the enemy cannon exploded, sending debris into space. Zorak's ship shook but didn't stop. It turned to face the Sentinel. The enemy leader appeared again on Rhea's screen. Zorak's face was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. You are brave, Captain, Zorak said. But you are alone. Rhea glared at him. Not for long. Suddenly, new signals lit up on the radar. Empire ships were entering the system. 5, 10, 20. Jaren's eyes widened. It worked. They heard us. More Empire ships arrived, opening fire on the enemy fleet. The battle grew louder, brighter, and more dangerous. Rhea turned back to Zorak. You didn't break us. We are still here. Zorak's face darkened. Without a word, he cut the signal. The Sentinel took heavy hits. Hull plates broke apart. The ship shook with every blast. Lena shouted from engineering. We're losing engines. One more hit and we're done. Rhea gripped the controls. Prepare to ram their bridge. The crew gasped. Are you sure? Jaren asked. Rhea nodded. If we take out their command, the rest might fall apart. This is our chance. The Sentinel pushed forward, smoke and sparks filling the ship. They were almost there, just a few more seconds. Then a huge blast hit them from the side. The Sentinel spun out of control. Engines offline, Lena yelled. The ship drifted, broken but still alive. Rhea stood, breathing hard. Zorak's ship didn't fire again. Instead, it turned and pulled back. The rest of the enemy fleet followed. They're retreating, Jaren whispered. Rhea stared at the screen in shock. Why? We didn't stop them. Then she understood. The Empire's full fleet had finally arrived. Hundreds of ships now filled the system. Zorak knew he couldn't win today. He had lost this fight, but he would be back. Rhea sat down slowly, her body shaking with relief and fear. She had held the line, but the war was far from over. The battle was over. The sky above Andaris Prime was quiet again, but the air felt heavy. The damage was clear. Fires burned on the ground. Broken ships floated in space. Pieces of the Sentinel's hull drifted like metal bones. Rhea stood on the bridge. The ship's lights flickered. Sparks still fell from the ceiling. The engines were silent. The Sentinel had done its job, but it was barely alive. Jaren walked up to her. His face was tired but calm. "We made it," he whispered. Rhea looked at him. She didn't smile. "We survived. But the enemy will come back. You know that, right?" Jaren nodded. "Yes, but next time we won't be alone." Empire ships now filled the sky. Medical teams rushed to help the injured. Repair crews worked day and night to fix what was broken. For the first time, Andorus Prime felt awake. The Empire had seen the truth. They could no longer hide behind pride. They had almost lost everything. Rhea knew they had only won because of the few who dared to stand when no one else would. Later, Rhea stood before Empire Command. This time the room was quiet. No one laughed. No one doubted her now. Commander Tolan looked down. Ashamed. "We were wrong, Captain Vance. You saved Andorus and the Empire." Rhea didn't feel proud. She felt the weight of what had almost happened. "I didn't do it alone," she said. "My crew stood with me. We fought for the people, not for power." "What do you want, Captain? Name it." Rhea looked around the room. "I want the truth. I want this Empire to stop pretending we're safe when we're not. I want every system to be ready. I want the people to know the risks." Tolan looked her in the eye. "It will be done." Outside, the people of Andorus gathered to watch the wreckage of the Sentinel being carried down to the surface. Rhea stood with Jaren, Lena, and Dax. They had saved a world. They had started a new fight. Not just against the enemy, but against the Empire's own mistakes. Rhea took a deep breath. "This isn't the end," she said softly. Jaren nodded. "No, it's just the beginning." The sky above them stretched wide and dark. Somewhere out there, Sorak was waiting. Rhea knew he would return. But this time the Empire would be ready. And so would she.